the other pocket, they score! What a goal by the AHL just keeps getting better and better. Top of her game. We'll be checking that out on Rinkside.
Very excited on this edition of Ringside as we're going pro. I think in the several years I've hosted this show, this is the first time we've had an active professional player on as a guest. Dayle Ross with the New York Sirens of the PWHL is our guest this time. Dayle, how's it going today?
Pretty good.
Good. Spirit River, Alberta. I've not been there. I know where it is. It's up near Grand Prairie. Tell us about what people should know about growing up in Spirit River, Alberta.
Definitely a small town. Everyone either farms or works in town. Definitely the typical kids playing road hockey, playing every sport. My group of friends that I've known since kindergarten, we still play softball every summer and even road hockey sometimes. So that's pretty much it.
So you still spend your summers pretty close to home then?
Yeah, I do like to train at home and go for runs. I just like being outside and being home, and then I go to Grand Prairie and train with the junior boys, and that's like kind of a perfect setup for me.
Oh, very cool. So growing up near Grand Prairie and Spirit River, was hockey sort of the number one sport by default, or is that something you kind of grew into over the years?
Yeah, I think anyone that's from Alberta knows that every single town has a hockey rink, no matter how big or small. But yeah, it was like the number one thing. It's like my brothers did it, and I think I was just like, if they're doing it, I have to do it. And then also like all my friends did it, so it's like, well, I want to be where my friends are, so it just became a thing.
So it didn't take you very long to strap on skates for the first time, or how old were you when you actually started playing hockey?
I think I was kind of underage because they wouldn't let me play games, so I was around 3 or like 2.5. So like the first time I was like skating, I was practicing with them, but they wouldn't let me play games because I was too young. So I'd always get mad I wasn't allowed to play games. So um, after that, I kind of had a fire in my belly, like, oh, I want to play right away. But it was pretty young when I started. Pretty much like I think everyone my age pretty much started around that time too.
So that passion was there pretty much right from the start, eh?
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's certainly gotten you to where you are now, so that's outstanding. So tell us about playing for the Peace Country Female Athletic Club Storm growing up.
Definitely I wanted to actually play with the boys team in Grand Prairie, and I tried out for spring team, and I had been on it for like years before I started playing for the Peace Country Storm team. But I knew that, sometimes they're like, oh, we don't want to develop the girls. We want to develop the boys. So
Hmm.
when I was 12, I was still in Pee-wees. So I'm like, oh, I guess I just go home and skate with the boys. But then my cousin was playing on the Bantam team in Grand Prairie, and she's like, why don't you just come and skate in the summer or for their spring camp or whatever? And I was like, yeah, I want extra ice. Like, I might as well. Went to their spring camp, and then they're like, we would love to have you on the team. I was like, what? Like as an underage? So I got to play with my cousin and a couple friends that were from Spirit River as well, and play underage and play with the older girls. So, I got to learn a lot from them. I was a lot smaller, probably like under 100 pounds playing with them my first year. So it helped me grow a lot as a hockey player.
So were those the things that kind of stood out most about your time with that program? Playing as an underage player, but also getting to do it with some familiar faces alongside?
Yeah, like definitely there was Tianya Remco, Tessa Ross, which was my other cousin. They all been through like Hockey Alberta programs, and I just want to be just like them. And I fed off them because they would train really hard in the summer, and you're starting at that age, and you kind of see the older girls go through it and how much they want and how much they want to get, go to college and play as well. So I kind of like fed off them, and they're really good leaders to me. And even some of the other girls like Brooklyn Twos, she was a big name too in Grand Prairie, and I looked up to them a lot. And I think even the coaching staff too, like Brad Ross, I had, and a bunch of other coaches that really helped me in my time there.
So that's great. You were able to play pretty close to home for a while, but then you made the decision to move to St. Albert to continue your career. Just talk about what all went into that decision, and I guess was it excitement, nerves, all of the above when you made that big move?
Yeah, definitely. So when the league went back down to 6 teams, Grand Prairie hadn't had a team anymore, and so we kind of knew that because they wanted to make the hockey more competitive, and that was like, okay, like what do I want to do? Do I want to stay home or do I want to move away? And I thinking about it, I was like, I just want to play with the best of the best. That's always, had my mindset. So I went to a spring camp in St. Albert, and a couple other teams reached out to me. So, and obviously St. Albert had just won SL Cup. So I think that made my decision easy. I'm just like, I want to be with the best team. I want to win. So that made my decision easy. And obviously it's a great community and some great coaches as well there.
Yeah, and you mentioned it before you got there, they had won the SO Cup, and then in 2019, you helped them win another one. So
Yeah.
tell us about that whole experience and moving to a bigger space, a bigger market, and winning a national championship.
Well, definitely when I first moved there, your first time away from home, you're learning new things. I kind of told my mom, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I kind of want to come home. Like, I miss my family. Like, I'm a very homebody person, and love the country. But I stuck through it, and like I learned so much of a team game and so much about the game at St. Albert that you buy into the system because it's just like a family there. Like the culture there was so different, and like they proved it already twice the years before. Um, and then going to nationals probably was like the greatest moment ever. Like basically we weren't doing that well during the tournament. We started like our coaches kind of gave us a talk. They're like, okay, like if you guys want to win, you guys better bear down because it's not on us, it's on you guys. And everyone on the team bought in and did their job. And it didn't matter if you're playing 20 minutes or like 5 minutes, everyone just did their job. And I learned so much how to be a team member, like a teammate, and do everything for everyone else. So that was my favorite experience, I think, at St. Albert.
Yeah. Yeah, winning a national gold medal, that certainly goes a long way to
Yeah.
having some fun. Um, Looks like that tournament went pretty well for you personally. Did I read correctly that you were tournament MVP that year?
I just won MVP in the game, I think, or one of the
Okay,
games. I got two
player of the
goals.
game. Okay.
Um,
Sounds
but yeah, I actually hurt my shoulder in Pacifics, and like I think I sublexed it, and somehow I just got some good shots on net during the tournament. I was like, man, I should maybe hurt my shoulder more, but no,
probably probably not your preferred long-term strategy, but at
yeah,
least for that short-term playoff run, it worked out, I guess.
yeah.
So battling through an injury like that, obviously at such a key time of a season, a little bit of adversity there. What do you kind of learn about yourself going through something like that?
Definitely it's when you say mind over matter, it really is because like people don't understand how much your body can do till you do it. You see people, a woman lift a car off her kid. I don't know if you've ever seen that video, but it's like
Yeah.
you can override these systems if you really believe and you're really mentally tough. And when you're in that moment, you're like, I will never get this chance again in my life. And you never know, because the next year was COVID anyway. So I was like, I'm never gonna get this chance again in my life. I have to put everything out there. And I want to win. I want to win for the girls in this room. So I think that was the biggest thing is like I couldn't let anyone down and nothing was gonna stop me.
That's great stuff right there. I love that mind over matter. Certainly can help you go a long way. You were playing in St. Albert at the time when the AFHL was just kind of coming into its own as a league and as an organization. What was it like being around the AFHL at that time as it was just sort of rising to even more prominence?
I think like definitely like the league itself. You mean like St. Albert, like that, like the league, right?
Yeah, the whole league, the AFHL that St. Albert was a part of. Yeah, provincial league.
Okay. Definitely like there's a lot of girls that were really good in the league and when I was in league and you just see it keep growing and growing and growing and the competition there was just so great that it helped us achieve more later on and obviously I think the league does a really good job of making sure everything seems professional and making sure that the games are competitive, they're making sure that the rules are in place and you know I think the league itself is very competitive. And we don't get enough credit for that. And I see so many good girls, and they don't get enough credit of how good they actually are. It's just like I feel like the most like hardworking, like physical league that I've been a part of too.
Great stuff. So then after that, you end up representing Team Alberta at the 2019 U18 Women's Nationals. How excited were you when you first made Team Alberta? And then talk about competing at that national tournament and what that was like on behalf of your province.
Definitely, I was so excited. Of course, I wanted to be against the best of the best, and I was just like representing Alberta. Like, it's just like representing like where you come from. So that was like a big part of it too. You're very proud of where you're from, and you just want to work hard and show like your roots. And that tournament was probably one of my favorite tournaments I've ever played at. I, I worked so hard, and I'm like, again, you do it for the girls in that room. You do it for the girls around you, and you don't want to let them down. And again, you're doing it for your province, so it's just that much more exciting, and you're so much more proud of your work on the ice.
What were some of the biggest lessons you learned while competing at that particular tournament?
I think definitely the mind over matter thing. You play like 6 or 7 games in 7 days. Um, but you definitely have to go out there and be like, no, I can't be bad today. I will be good. And I think I learned that a lot, and also like taking care of myself. You gotta take care of yourself, stretching and do all the little things right. Like you eat at this time, you gotta hydrate, you gotta do all these little things. And the mental part of it, Barry was our mentor there, and he really helped with the mental side of the game. And when you're that young, everyone's going through the same thing. Everyone's moved away, everyone's done all that. So the mental part of it and being able to push past those hard times was probably the biggest lesson I learned.
Yeah, and you mentioned Barry's name, and I know that pretty much everyone who's come through Hockey Alberta over the years can cite him as a real positive reference. So I'm glad you brought him up as someone helped you through that event and learned some great lessons. So after that, it was off to NCAA. That's obviously a big change for someone coming from Spirit River all the way to St. Cloud University, and 4 years there. Just take us through that experience and what that was all like for you.
Definitely, yeah. The recruiting process was a little weird because I went for a visit there, and then I came back, and then it was COVID, and I was supposed to have other visits, and I was like, you know what? St. Cloud's small town. I feel like I belong here, and I want to play in the best league for NCAA, so I chose that. And I know Kendall has gone there, so she had good stuff to say as well. So I went there, and first year was a little rough. As a freshman, you don't expect that many good players in that league, and it's definitely a step. But after my freshman year, I we had Brian come in, and he changed the culture again, and I learned so much again about the team game and how you have to be a part of a family and play your role on the team. And I think balancing also school and hockey really made me tougher too, because I took exercise science, so it was pretty hard schedule.
Mm.
And again, like, you wake up at 6 a.m., you get ready, and then you go to skills in the morning, you go to class, then you got workout, and then you got practice again, and then you got to cool down, and then you get home, and then you have more school. So it's just like, it's a grind. It's just always a grind. And I can't believe how much work I've done. And I pushed through that instead of just being like, oh, I'm not going to go to skills today. I'm like, no, I'm going to go. I don't care if I'm tired. I'm not going to get better. At least I'll stick handle, or I'll do something else I need to work on that's maybe not as much, doesn't take as much energy. So I think, how much I worked and how much I pushed myself really helped me to get to the next level.
There you go. No quit. Once again, and it comes back to that whole mind over matter thing, I guess. Hey, even when times get
Yeah.
super busy, there you go. You plowed right through it for sure. Good stuff. Okay, so after that, you had a great run, 4 years at St. Cloud, and then it was time to turn pro, and you were drafted into the PWHL by the New York Sirens just in 2025 last year. Obviously, a huge thrill and a huge milestone. Just take us through that whole experience and what it was like.
Yeah, definitely, when the season ends, you're kind of nervous and you don't know if you're gonna get drafted or not. And obviously I went through something that was really tough. I figured out that I tore my ACL. I
Hmm.
played my whole last season on it. And I was like, something just feels a little off. And a girl on our team had like just got surgery because she had like a little piece of cartilage in there. And I was like, maybe I have the same thing.
Oh,
I go get the
wow.
x-ray and they're like, you tore your ACL completely. And I'm like, sitting there like, you're lying to me. And they're like, nope, like you should fix it or we're gonna make you wear a brace. And I was like, nope, let's fix it.
And
And
is this something that you were playing through while still at St. Cloud?
yeah, I tore it actually in October.
Oh,
And the
wow.
only reason why I knew that is the doctor asked me, did you ever hear pop? And I said, I know at the exact moment I heard a pop.
Oh, wow. So you gutted that out, then off-season surgery.
Yeah, so it
Wow.
was a bit of a grind in the summer. And honestly, during the draft, I was so nervous. I was like, they're not going to pick me. Like, I just had an injury. Like, they're not going to wait on me. Like, it's sure I had a great year, but who wants to pick a injured player? But again, I had to trust the process. And Brian Adulski was our coach at the time. He's like, you are elite at defending. It doesn't matter how many points you had. You're elite at what you do, and you just have to keep believing. And I really worked hard this summer to try and get back as fast as I could. And they still drafted me. And on draft day, I was just like sitting there, like, text my mom. I was like, oh my gosh, like they just drafted me. Why did they draft me? Like I'm injured, but my mom's like, no, they believe in you. Like you got to believe that in yourself too. So draft day was just like, it felt like a dream. Like it felt like it wasn't even like a real day, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even I walked on stage, I asked him, like, can you help me down the stage? Because I was still like kind of recovering from my injury. So it's pretty fresh from injury, or from the surgery. But yeah, being drafted, I just like trust the process and they trusted in me. And, it was good after the draft. That weight was lifted off my shoulder. And all I had to do was focus on rehab and be the best I could be when I got there.
That's amazing. So I'll ask, maybe it's an obvious question, but you are from Spirit River, as we've talked about, and now you're hanging out in New York. Just a bit of a change there in terms of environments.
Yeah, definitely. I told my mom, I said, I love New York, but I definitely know when I get older, the country is probably my home. But for now, the New York Sirens are my family and they do treat me like it. Outside the rink, sometimes I get scared. I had to learn how to take the subway and the train. That was pretty scary.
Yeah.
But
So
there's a lot of history here, so I do like it.
yeah, that's amazing. I've never been to the New York area. It's definitely on my list. So I'm excited through you that you get to experience that as a fellow small town Albertan. Just in general, like what does it mean to you to have the opportunity to play professional hockey as you are?
I think it's a pretty big deal, Now, I think I'm maybe the first professional hockey player to come from our town. There has been like others that have played in um, I think Germany and like some other places, but I was the first one to kind of make it to like the top tier league. Um, so I think I got to represent my family and my small town proud. I know every night they always host like they have like golf simulator and like dinner there, and every night they watch our games when they're on. So, I want to play for them. And again, like you work so hard to be here and you sacrifice so much to be without your family and your friends back home. But I knew they were all cheering for me, all along the way.
That's amazing. And it was just a couple weeks ago now that you were finally able to make your PWHL debut. Uh, can you put into words just how exciting that particular night was and what stands out to you from your first game here back on January 6th?
I think like, you wait for this moment your whole life, or like, ever since you're little, you work so hard for this. And again, mine was delayed. So it was like, oh, my patience was just like coming short. I'm like, oh, when is my time gonna come? When is my chance gonna come? And I think, when you're a little kid and you go to the rink and you have that fresh energy, you have that, I want to play. Like that's how I felt. I felt like I was, 10 again or 12 again. Like I was going on the ice for the first time again. And it's like with this injury, it made it feel that much more special because of how long I had to wait.
I think you hit on something really key right there. You mentioned that it felt like a young kid again with that level of excitement. And I think that's really important to have that kind of energy because now that you're doing this for a living, I mean, it can be a grind at times. And obviously, you've been through injuries and lots of busy times at school and whatnot. But just how important is it to maintain that youthful energy to help drive you forward?
Definitely, I bet you a lot of people put so much pressure on themselves, and I mean, I do too, but you got to take a step back and ask why you're doing it. And you're like, because it's fun, because you enjoy it, and you started it when because you were a kid and you just wanted to have fun. So, I really have that youthful kid energy now after my injury, and that long wait of being off the ice, I think helped me that much more to be that much better, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely does, and I think that's outstanding for sure. Okay, we've talked about all the hockey stuff. We'll talk hockey, but just kind of as you were growing up, favorite NHL teams. I mean, you're an Alberta kid. Flames or Oilers? Were you on that whole thing, or what was your favorite team growing up?
Oh yeah, I was Oilers all the way. A whole family would always wear our jerseys. We have blankets on the couch that are Oilers, so we are big fans of them.
Yeah, I asked mainly out of courtesy because growing up in literal oil country, you're probably born right into that. Who are some of your favorite players to watch growing up, both on the NHL side and on the women's side too? Who are some of your favorite players to watch growing up?
Um, Definitely I loved watching Rihanna Fast, like such a great skater. Look up to her now. I'm like playing against her. I'm like, this is crazy. I watched you when I was like, 10.
Yeah,
So for full circle moment there. On the men's side, like obviously Draisaitl, like just a big powerhouse, and I feel like I kind of play like that too. I love Jacob Slavin. He's one of the best defensive defensemen out there, and I strive to be like him. I'm not as tall as him, so I won't have as good of a stick, but I can sure try. Um, yeah, players like that, I would say, are probably my favorite.
that's really cool. So you're playing professional hockey in New York. You've got Canadians on your team. You've got Americans. We all know just how intense, for lack of a better term, I think that's about the safest word we can use for the Canada-US women's hockey rivalry. You're kind of in a unique spot where you're playing with, players that have been probably on both teams over the years. Are you kind of right in the middle of it? And especially coming up on Olympic time here, it's got to be an interesting time to be around players that are going to be part of that tournament.
Oh yeah, you see players from both sides. They're gonna play against each other, and they've all been my friends, and they've all played in leagues together. So it's kind of crazy to see that. Um, but again, like they raised the bar again at this level, and it's like, okay, there's another level to be hit even within the pro league, and it's like I want to hit that. So I've just been learning so much from them and just being a sponge, and they have all the experience. Like I'm only 22, some of them are 28. Like they've been through this and done it all. So I have to learn as much as I can from them. And again, like it is very intense. And when you lose, it's like you lost for a good reason. You gotta, pick up your socks and, try and get better for the next day. So I do appreciate that from them. They are always raising the bar.
Yeah, and it's going to be absolutely electric watching them go head to head again at the Olympics this year. Now, as you kind of set some future goals for yourself, is that something that you have on your radar, competing and trying to earn yourself the right to wear the maple leaf at the world events someday?
I do. People always ask me, and I was like, my time's not coming yet. And, I haven't been on I've been on the U18 Team Canada team when I was younger, and too bad we couldn't go to the tournament in Sweden because of COVID. I would have been able to show a lot more there, I think. But again, like I tell people, my chance will come, and if like I'm gonna be elite defenseman, and that's if that's what they want, they will take me. And again, I will try my best to get there, and I will do everything I can, like health wise, fitness wise, personality wise, teammate wise, to be in the best position I can put myself in. But at the end of the day, it will be their decision, and I will understand that. But again, I will not stop fighting to be there, and I would tell them that, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud to be from Alberta. I'm proud to be from like oil country, hardworking, and I will give them everything I got if they do give me a chance.
Yeah, that's outstanding. Well, if you keep working as hard as you have through your career so far, they can't help but take notice. So we're all wish you the best in that pursuit. Any game day superstitions or quirks or anything that that take you through a normal game day?
Definitely. I always go through this thing. Barry kind of helped me with it too when I started when I was younger. And it's like you go, you close your eyes and you go through the plays in your head. And then you also say like, you breathe in with the good and you get out with the bad. You breathe in with the good and you breathe out with the bad. So I do that a couple times, and then I listen to Nickelback. I always have to listen to Nickelback. I know that's really funny, but I'm like, I'm Alberta girl. It gets me going.
Yeah.
My favorite thing. And then I always have to tie my right skate first and then my left. So those are
Okay.
some of my superstitions.
Hey, it's worked to get you to this point so far. You're not going to mess with it anytime soon.
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
I was like, I better keep it the same if it's going okay.
Yeah, in all reality probably doesn't make much difference, but it would just feel weird if you didn't do it that way. So,
Yeah, I feel like I would feel off.
yeah. Okay. Finally, last one for you. If you were to pick maybe one word to describe your hockey journey to this point, what word would you use?
Oh, I would just
Toughest
say,
question for last.
yeah, it is. What's a good word? I would say consistency and determination. Can I do two?
Yes, I will allow it.
Yeah, they're kind of the same thing, but being very consistent every day, but also being like determined to be like, okay, I don't have enough, like the most amount of points, but that doesn't matter. I'm going to be the best I can today, or, so I think those two come hand in hand.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it any better. So I love the way you went with that answer. So, Dale, this has been a ton of fun getting to know you here this afternoon. Congratulations on all your success so far, and all the best going forward with New York and the PWHL and beyond. Thanks very much for doing this.
Yes, thank you.